Ready?
Good.
We have got Lionel live. We're going to be talking about ex-prosecutor Dissects the allegations against Russell Brand. It's been a huge story this week, all over the news here in the UK. Just more and more developments every single day. The latest developments today, before I hand it over to Lionel, Russell Brand assault trial evidence could come from lengthy Arthur, as in the movie, outtakes footage. So in 2023, Brand was sued by an unnamed extra, Jane Doe, accused him of exposing himself to cast members before SAing her in a bathroom on the set. Brand and Warner Brothers are both named as defendants. Both parties are denying the allegations. And as far as I'm aware, that is the most of the recent of the allegations. So Warner Brothers' lawyer is offered to submit outtakes of Brand in the film as part of evidence. He said the studio has had some hours of video outtake footage, 4 or 5 hours, or possibly up to 8. Let me just look if anything else has come out in the last few hours. Russell Brand now fears U.S. prosecution. That's in The Independent. And Hallow has now cut ties with Russell Brand. That's the Hallow app that he was promoting. Russell Brand will speak at Florida College despite these charges. That's just come out 1 hour ago. New college doubles down on decision to host Russell Brand. And on and on and on it goes. It's one of the most talked about stories in the world right now. So Lionel, when this broke, and huge thank you for coming on, my friend. What were your thoughts when you saw this one?
Why so long? I'm so tired of this. I'm sorry. 26 years, 20 years. I'm tired of this. I don't understand this. How come when you're a nobody ever thinks about this? You're not important. You know, most of the cases that I have been involved with or have seen either women or people charged or accusing others of SA didn't care who you were, didn't care anything. I want justice now. Now, for all we know, these victims could have gone repeatedly to various authorities. Remember, civil and criminal. I'm going to assume I'm not an expert in your legal system at all, but civil, person versus person. I'm suing Shaun Attwood. I want money from you. I want an injunction. I want you. It's you versus me. Criminal, the state, the government against somebody. Okay? Now, let me tell one thing. First of all, I'm going to be jumping all over the place as a defense lawyer, prosecutor, legal, a media maven. Russell, shut up. I don't know what you're talking about. My lawyers have advised me not to speak, and I want everybody to listen to me. The greatest bit of negotiating you can ever do, whether you're asking somebody for a raise or you want extra barbecue sauce in your takeaway, you say whatever it is. I want more. I want a raise. I can't talk. And you can understand that, right? And people will say, yes. They will say this reflexively. And you can understand that, right, Shaun? Oh, yes. I can't comment on this. I can't. You can understand that. Of course. And you move on. Shut up. He thinks he's glib. He thinks he's brilliant. He thinks he can just, and he says, and I'm not going to do his accent, but basically, well, you know, oh, there he is. This stupidity. This is like, shut up.
Let me play this for you, Lionel.
Please. Oh, God.
And we'll get your thoughts. It's only a minute or so long. All right, so let me make it big.
For those of you.
Here we go.
Hello. Firstly, thank you for these incredible and overwhelming messages of support. We're very fortunate in a way to live in a time where there's so little trust in the British government. We're very fortunate, I suppose, that this is happening at a time where we know that the law has become a kind of weapon to be used against people, institutions, and sometimes entire nations that will not accept and tolerate levels of corruption that are unprecedented. I'm speaking particularly to those of you that are watching this in the UK. How do you feel about your legal system right now? How do you feel about some of the high-profile cases that are not being pursued and prosecuted? How do you feel that the Southport murders were handled? How do you feel about the government of Keir Starmer? Now, that's just sort of general context. Me, I've always told you guys that when I was young and single, before I had my wife and family, who were just out of shot over there, my beautiful children, I was a fool, man. I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord. I was a drug addict, a sex addict, and an imbecile. But what I never was a rapist. I've never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes. I want to thank all of you for your continuing support. I want to let you know that our show will be on Rumble on Monday. Thanks for your support there. And of course.
So as an ex-prosecutor, how could that be used against him?
Well, first, he's acknowledging, number one, he's basically saying, yeah, that's me. So listen, whether you think I'm crazy or not, I'm going to say to him, you just gave up any AI defense. I know you're going to laugh, Shaun. I know you're going to laugh at me. But if somebody would have said, maybe whatever. Well, you just took care of it. You're basically saying, well, I was crazy then. Oh, you mean when you did this? Well, yeah. Oh, so it was you. So you were on this set. Yeah. So you were crazy and you were drunk. So do you remember it? Now, believe it or not, memory is another one too. His defenses could be, I was so drunk I didn't know what I was doing. So let me just say something. I want everybody to listen to me. And again, I'm not giving you advice as a lawyer. Shut up. We have in our country the Fifth Amendment. You have the right to remain silent. Shut up. Non-speech is not admissible as usually or as guilt. You've got the burden of proof. Attwood, you've got the burden of proof. UK, you do. If you say I did this, bring it on. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to acknowledge anything. This is for everybody. This is not. If somebody came to me right now and said, I want to talk to you about the Kennedy assassination. I was 5 years old then. I'm not going to talk to you about that either. Because invariably, here's the other thing. When you start talking, you come in on day one, and then you come in on day two. And invariably, your testimony will be different. And you're not trying to lie. But 2 instances of inconsistent statements under oath can be construed as perjury. So don't talk. You're creating, sometimes prosecutors will get people to come in there and say, start talking. See, because he thinks he's glib. He thinks now, probably speaking, deep down inside, if you ask me, what do I really think? I don't know. No, seriously, nobody around here. What do you think? What do you really think? If you told me that this guy was alleged to have had his way with a marmoset, I would say, I probably believe it because he's a nut. He's a degenerate. But I mean, this is just me and you talking. 2 guys. Now, if somebody says about you, I'd say, absolutely. No, I'm kidding. You know what I mean? He's so unsavory. So he comes across anything. People would say, well, Keir Starmer, he's a lot of things. That's always a very good thing, Shaun. When somebody says, Shaun Attwood, he's a lot of things, but a fraudagist, he's not, okay. So right off the bat, people think he's a freak. He acts one, and all of a sudden, and you found Jesus, and he gets on his knee. And listen, I'm not going to ask somebody or to have them provide bona fides of their particular faith, but come on, would you stop it? It's so perfect. It's the new me. All right, fine. I don't believe any of this crap. I don't believe anybody. You don't understand this. But this is just me talking. Look, I've been around. I've known every freak. And you too. I don't believe people. People lie. People make up, especially when you're Russell Brand and you think you're so smart. That being said, you've got to prove this. You're talking about some extremely serious stuff. And we're talking about people who are 16 years old, might be a minor, but consensual. Did you see Megyn Kelly? Did you see her reaction? Oh, Megyn Kelly is like, Megan, sit down. I don't care what you're going to do. You're 16 years old. I'm going to unsubscribe from you. Like, oh, no. Everybody in the business is trying to act so, look, it's wrong, but it's like, don't give me this false piety where you're so shocked by everything. You've been in show business. Are you kidding me? First of all, don't BS me. Just don't lie to me. I've seen stuff that it's just, this is nothing. Do you have any, do you want to go? Megyn Kelly won't be able to sleep if I told you about Charlie Chaplin. Oh my God. Or Judy Garland, or what they did with Clara Bow. I can tell you stuff. Believe me, what he is alleged to have done is child's play. Okay, that notwithstanding. Question number 1. 26 years ago, was it 1999? Where were you? Juror number 1, where were you? 26 years ago. Let me see. I was 26 years ago. Who was president? I would start off in my closing argument. I would have who was the president? Who won the World Cup? Maybe there's something in the UK, something that people remember. Keir Starmer was born, whatever. This is what happened then. 26 years ago. Year number 1, nothing happened. Now listen, they say, well, he wasn't that big of a star. He's in a movie. You can always sue the studio. You can sue a lot of other people. You could be doing a lot of things. So he was not really nothing. He wasn't really nothing, because let's face it, you and I know too. I know you, Attwood. You know this. I don't give a damn about the person. I want to sue the studio. I want to sue the limo company that brought the guy to the studio. I want to sue the lighting director who provided the light that was used to film. You sue everybody. Respondeat superior. This is the legal maxim that says that the big shot axe takes the heat. If you're hit by a Coca-Cola truck, oh, you're sitting pretty. You're not going to sue the driver. You want to sue Coca-Cola because they benefited from. So what I'm saying is, so when people say, well, it wasn't till now, he was big then. These were on movie sets. Nobody brought this up then. It would have been even easier. Okay, well, just give it. Was there a lawsuit? Now, I also have to stop and say, I do not believe that we should chide or ridicule or in any way criticize somebody for not bringing a case soon enough. But 26 years, now you want to bring it? Now it's important? Tell me, what happened? That goes to the motivation. Have you ever noticed, I don't know what you talk about essay and children, do you know how many times that happens right around the time of divorce? Any fathers out there? Lo and behold, right around the time custody and money, guess what happens? So you don't think the propinquity, the temporal connection of that is important? That's number 1. And that's the first thing any juror, again, I'm assuming a juror might say, no, it doesn't eliminate it. It doesn't eliminate it, but it makes you say, that's a very interesting thing. I did not know that. You don't think, for example, the timing, like right before Attwood insures his huge recording studio for millions of dollars, shortly thereafter, that's when the arson takes place? You don't think that? I mean, seriously, does this not make any sense? If you don't think the timing means anything, that's another story. Now, they have to also provide information, again, assuming that the legal systems are the same. If I say, give me any outtakes you have, you want to prevent the charges of spoliation, where you allege that they had information, they had documents, they had recordings. It's like when you sue a TV company or somebody, they say, save all recordings and all emails, and okay. because I'm going to need them to sue you, you know, that kind of, so you have to keep them. So again, you're going to have this, you're going to have, you want to see the video? Go ahead. But in the meantime, why is he saying anything? Just let it go. I think you all can appreciate the fact that my lawyers have advised me not to comment. Thank you. Now let's talk about Jesus. Praise God and do whatever you want to do. You will never be able to explain this away. And already he started Keir Starmer. The system. First thing I'm going to do if I'm the prosecutor, I'm going to say, let's roll that tape. Let's say we've got some outtakes of Arthur. Really bad stuff. So Keir Starmer has something. Did Keir Starmer do that? Is that you? Is that when you were doing the terrible thing? Is that, who is this? Maggie Thatcher? Hell, bring her up too. You see what he's doing? He's blaming people. We haven't even seen it yet. Just keep your mouth shut. Just keep your mouth shut. Now, I'm going to say something which is the absolute, well, it's kind of a reality, but nobody wants to think it's a reality. I want somebody to say, ladies and gentlemen, you have been lucky enough to sit on a jury today, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the way it works. This is my client, Russell Brand. Russell Brand, in his annual monies that he has to have security. Why? Because of the women that throw themselves at him. Do you know how many? Do you know what his life is like? Do you have any idea? Let me call his limo driver. Give people an idea of what it's like when you're Russell Brand. And imagine with Mick Jagger, you can't get near, but you can't imagine. Okay? They throw themselves. If Russell Brand were charged with every woman he has ever had his way with, you would need Wembley Stadium for the court. No, I'm serious. You have to let people know. This is not a usual. No, I'm serious. And I know you're laughing, you sick son of a. Just kidding. I love you. But you have to understand this. They have to understand how this thing works. Now, you can also say this. At the time of this, my client, Mr. Brand, was out of his mind. He was drunk, gassed, gooned, waxed, under the influence, non-compos mentis. He was an inebriate, a sot, a crapulous dipsomaniac of the first order. He didn't remember weeks at a time. He'll tell you right now, there are people who said, was I in a movie? Yeah, I don't even remember the movie because I'm out of my mind. Now, does that get him off the hook? It might. It might. And the reason why is, again, there are some offenses that, again, I know I'm not familiar with British law, but in our law, we have crimes that involve the specific intent. Burglary is a specific intent crime. Murder is a specific intent crime, but assault is not. Trespass is not. What does that mean? In order for me to do something, depending upon the crime, I have to be able to formulate the specific intent to do something over and above just the act. If anything involves or impairs my ability to formulate a specific intent, namely being crazy, being insane, being drunk, being high, anything, that is a defense. So one of the things he's going to say is, I don't know what you're talking about. Now, is that a defense? No. But there's something about juries saying, we just found a guy liable or guilty. He doesn't remember anything. Not at all. Might as well have been sleepwalking. He's out of his mind. In a world where it is debauchery, it is Sodom and Gomorrah every day, he had to hire a security guard. Then, I don't want to do this, but let's assume, Shaun, let's assume for the sake of argument, arguendo, as opposed to innuendo, which is an Italian suppository, but let's assume somebody comes forward and says, oh, yeah, I remember her. Yeah, the 16-year-old. 16 going on 40. Yeah, we knew her. She was there all the time. We had problems with her. I'm not saying this happened. Please, I'm not saying this. But what if a jury thinks, oh my God, this is the sick world. He doesn't remember where he is. And this one, let me make. Now, we have something called the R, can't use that word, the R shield laws, where you can't put a woman on the stand and say, what were you wearing? Why were you wearing that? You asked for it, didn't you? No, you can't do that. But if you are deliberately, if you told their friends, remember the story allegedly of Elon Musk's new baby mama, who allegedly imputedly said, I'm going to get me whatever. Okay. Well, she may have gotten her way. You don't think that evidence is relevant? You don't think that shows the formulation of a kind of a pattern? 16, 15, 46 or not? You don't think predatory? And if somebody said, oh my God, this would, in fact, she's on the list. Let's assume, again, I'm not saying this, but what if there was a woman that says, she's not allowed near any sound sets or whatever, anywhere around. She's famous for this. At the end of the day, put it all together. I got a lecherous, treacherous, let's say, victim. I've got a guy who's out of his mind, who is so drunk he doesn't even remember this. In a world where it's like it's an orgy. It's put all of this together, and you want the jury to say, what am I doing here? You got a bunch of, this one's just seeking a payday. Watch how their tune changes when you say, oh, no, we're not going to sue. We're going to see criminal justice. We're going to put him in jail. Whoa. Wait. That's right. And when he goes to jail or prison, all of his ability to pay you back will be gone because he's using it all up in lawyers and he'll be, but don't worry, you'll get your way. He'll be in the, wherever the hell he is for the next 20 years. No, I don't want that. I want the money. Oh, no, you want justice. No, I don't want justice. Not if he can't pay. Now, again, I'm repetitive here because I'm not saying that's what happened. But if I could ever make a jury say, this stinks. Same thing with Diddy. Same thing with anybody. This isn't the case that, let me tell you the case you want. If you're a prosecutor or somebody, this is somebody who comes in with a crutch and an eye and like an eye patch, and oh no, that's it. We're settling. Somebody who comes in, he can't hear. Excuse me, I can't hear out of this ear. Why? Well, when he beat me or so, I'm just saying that's the case. This is something. Now, if you go back and you look, first of all, watch anytime you show me this Russell Brand. By the way, bless his heart. With that dentition, this guy could eat an apple through a picket fence. First thing I do is, I don't know what you're trying to do. The pirate routine. Were you on vacation? A juror could say, because they're going to see all this. He doesn't seem to be too upset about this. Was he on holiday? Let me see. I was working my ass off when this guy was on holiday, dressed like Johnny Depp in the Caribbean. He looks like Keith Richards meets, whatever, Monty Rock III. Oh, he's yeah. And there he is. He's going through all this stuff about this criminal justice system. And as I told you, my beautiful wife, they're over there. They're listening to this. So you're using them as a prop while their old man pleads for his mercy. You do this in front. You're saying this in front of your kids that you were basically like they say in the South, you were a three-peckered goat. You were this safe tier. You're doing this in front of your family and you're laughing about it. And you're talking about, are you kidding me? See, let me be either side. I can be either saying, let's play that again. No, let's don't. No, let's play it again. Now, tell me right now, Russell, were you upset at this point? Were you laughing here? Is this the way you show laughter? Let's play it again. When you're laughing and you're smirking. What an idiot. You just head down and say, as an advice I can't say anything. And you can understand that. Yes, Russell, we understand that. And that's it. But now they're going to keep running this, and he's going to be hearing terrible things 20 years ago. And you can say, let me explain something to you. No, I'm not telling him to lie. I'm not telling him to lie. But what if I said, one of the reasons I can't do movies anymore, one of the reasons I'm not asked, not necessarily just because I'm not but I've suffered probably some permanent brain damage by virtue of my drinking, my drug use. I tell you right now, I'm not proud of it. And that's one of the reasons why I can't do this. So if you're asking me to come back 26 years ago during a time when there were years. You know, there are people who say they don't remember years. Years. There are people who were so drunk. Let me tell you something. It's now we're back to that. So here's my thing. Which side do you want me to take? Either one. But if I'm the prosecutor or if I'm the plaintiff's lawyer, whoever who's bringing the lawsuit, it's going to be a lot harder for me if Russell just shuts up. Let's start seeing pictures of his family. He's dancing with it, turning his life around. Maybe, and by the way, lay off this Jesus stuff. Nobody believes it. Sorry, nobody believes it. If you're, you know, there's a biblical verse that says something to the effect of, you know, blessed is he who you know, pays reverence to the Lord in secrecy. Or stop doing this. Show pictures of your kids. Maybe talk to kids the perils of drug abuse. Don't be like me. There's nothing worse than when somebody says it's like the person who woke up. God forbid he's driving his car and he's been in an accident and he's killed somebody and he doesn't even remember it. He blacked out. Let me tell you something. This was a horrible time. I don't want to think about anything, and I'm not very good as a witness because I don't remember. So remember, this is now what you and I can do is many people will immediately, like a Rorschach test, Shaun, as you know, will take on the position of either being for him, against him, liking him, viewing this. That's where I'm not sure how you pick a jury, or if they do in the British law, but in our country, you pick the right juror. And I want to get somebody who is disgusted by this, who hates the media elite, who hates this, who hates these the fake news media, the ones who try to set up President Trump, the ones who try to do this, the ones who, that's the thing. They go off and all they want to do is they just want to sick their fangs like parasites into people who, that's what I want. That's the kind of stuff that I want. And they're out there because look at the reactions of the people. Some people feel they like him. And maybe for reasons there he goes. They look as though, or they feel as though they're going after somebody they know, somebody they like. Maybe they see themselves as Russell Brand. They identify. That's what I want as a juror. But he's got to act humble. He's got to act like somebody who looks like he, you kind of feel sorry for him, who just sits at the table and looks down. I mean, he's got to be told this. And whoever is advising him to go and explain this should be fired, because you are not talking yourself out of this. Let people on their own. Put it this way. The people who love Russell Brand don't need Russell Brand to tell them why they should support Russell Brand. The people who hate him are going to forget him. They're not going to hear his voice. They might see him. But this is going to bring him right to the top of the consideration pile. He's going to come across as being insincere. So just shut up regarding this. Be quiet. And if it comes time to actually prove the case, and let me also explain something to you. I got to be careful how to say this. In one of the charges, there was this reference of, let's just use the word, the exposing. Now, there was a case years ago in New York of a very, I'm not going to mention any, but a very famous person, you might know, kind of in the entertainment business, who was alleged to have done something to that. And not, but something far, far more self-gratifying than that. Believe it or not, there were no charges that New York law recognized. There's no such thing as flashing. I mean, we don't. There is, but it depends. Especially today, unless it's accompanied by something that is threatening or something, whatever. So these laws are very, very. You've got to specifically say, "Tell me what he did, and let me work on the defense if one exists at all." Another one too is, how do you corroborate something that happens 26 years ago? Right? No, was it 90, 99? Yeah, 26 years ago. How do you corroborate this? Any hospital records? Any ambulance or medical, anything at all? Psychiatrist results? Anything? Diary? Friends you called at the time? Corroboration? One of the things that happens sometimes, you'll hear that, it's funny, yes, because this is my best friend, and I'm the best friend of this young lady. And at the time they were making the movie, I remember she called me one day. It was a Tuesday afternoon, right on or about when this happened, and she was beside herself. And she said that Russell Brand. Well, that's good. That's something. You don't have to have medical records and surgical records, but still something other than this. That's what I'm saying.
Wow. All right. So many points raised there. You've got tons of questions have come in, but before we start with them, let me just say a few things that have been triggered from what you've said just now to me. So I agree with you. He's laying on the Christianity too thick, and using his kids as props wasn't a good idea. I was surprised that he rebutted and came out and responded so fast. I thought he would have remained quiet on it. So yeah, I think that's a mistake. And anything he says is going to be used against him. Now you're talking about, the time it took for these people to go forward. Yeah, we do see that in many cases because of the trauma and how they have to resolve it before they can come forward and things like that. But if you look at the timing concerning the hit pieces that were made against him, we had the Channel 4 Dispatches show in this country, and we had the Sunday Times article. They were both working together. And basically, like you said, you could fill a soccer stadium with all of the women he slept with. They fine-tooth combed as many of his former sexual partners as they could. And that is the genesis of where the bulk of these allegations come from. It wasn't like these women just organically came forward and said, I want justice.
Right.
It was done at the behest of Channel 4 and the Times. So that makes it suspicious to me. I don't know if he's innocent or guilty, but I do think the timing of it stinks because the UK government tried to take him down. They sent a letter to YouTube asking them to demonetize his channel, and they did. And they also sent a letter to Rumble, and Rumble told them to F off. So it seems that there's far greater forces at play. It's heavily politicized.
And they want their target is not so much they're using, one could argue, they're using the person who was the putative victim as the cudgel. What they really want is him. This is a personal thing. They want him. They want to demonetize. Don't let him work again, and that sort of thing. When you have the, with all of the, put it this way, when you have people in your country who have been the victim, let's say, of various SA from, let's say, illegal aliens or people from other countries, or you know what I'm talking about. Believe me, they are. I mean, they are at the police or the constable or whatever this. They are pounding at the door saying, "I want justice now." You don't have to go look for them. Believe it or not, the idea, there's this myth of sometimes, yes, there is, especially interfamilial allegations and the like. But I promise you, ask anybody who was a detective or anybody who deals in that particular area. Victims do not. They are furious. They want to get this guy off the street. This idea that these victims are by their very nature so affected by this that they're cowed into, oh no, not like you think. And we do understand there are some people. Look, right now, if we had some I don't know what you want to call it, some magic glasses, and we can say all of the women who are watching right now, who say, if I ask you, do you know of any instance in your life where you might have had something that was a little bit kind of weird? Like maybe there was an event thing, well, sometimes real bad and sometimes not. There isn't a woman on this planet after a certain age that did not have something bad happen, from mildly bad to weird to terrible. This is so common, it's not even funny. There's no such thing as the rarity of this. Some people say, I'm so embarrassed. It happens all the time, and women talk to each other themselves. And it should be like that because there is no excuse for this. And what happens is every time the impression is that people are somehow they monetize or commodify or kind of merchandise their own victimization, it hurts the cause. So if that's the way it's perceived, I'm not saying it is, but you got to ask yourself this question. And I mean this, and I want to just compare it to Diddy. If I could tell a juror, do you know what this is like? See, for example, let's say if I say, let's say the victim in this is, let's say a teacher, not the victim, excuse me, the assailant. I'm saying, that's it. Sorry, there's no excuse. Sorry, no. There's no such thing as, you know what it's like? I was so drunk. No. You're a teacher. No. That doesn't work. Well, I was a priest. Oh, no. It doesn't work. I was a rock star. Wow. And how did these people find themselves to the movie set? Who brought them there? I want to know the circumstances. What if we found out, I'm not saying it's true, but what if we found out that the movie company itself brought these people there? What if they figure, well, this is what Mr. Brand wants, and we know the brand of his brand, and we know what he likes, and his propensity. Keep him happy. Keep Mr. Who knows? And the idea, and this is another thing too, and if you try to find this Megyn Kelly, whenever people make a big deal out of something that nobody's arguing about, and I don't care what you say, and I may be old-fashioned, but microwaving kittens, all right, cut, hold it. We're not, that's not going on in the stand. So when Megyn Kelly says, and it's 16 years old, yes, we know that. Thank you. The bastion of morality. She's put her imprimatur on it. She wants the world to know, yes, I found this disgusting. Oh, give me a break. We know that. You don't have to remind us of that. Okay? I got it. But there's something which is very, very weird. And this is where nobody wants to talk about it. There are different degrees of things. There is predatory, and then there are people where you live in a world like and I'm not trying to say it, but like your Diddy. Well, that sounded weird. When you are Diddy, and the 90% of your adult life has been one freak out or freak off party after another with people breaking the door down. And you get the impression, predator? I'm a predator? No, they came to me. Don't you understand? Now, if Russell Brand said, look, you may be, I didn't know, I couldn't tell you, I don't remember who was on the set. You want me to figure out who's 16 and who's 18 and who's 21? I was blotto. I don't remember anything. Now, in our country, we have strict liability. Liability without fault. Knowledge means nothing. There's no such thing as negligence. It is absolute. We limit them in civil law to this particular type of SA or S activity, using wild animals. In our country, if you have wild animals, you have a zoo, and that tiger gets out of the cage, you're done. I don't care what you did. You could build a moat. It doesn't matter. Explosives, demolitions, pyrotechnics. If anything happens, it's strict liability. That's kind of what this is. But this is different. He's going to say, I don't remember anything. Out of a million, you got one? One? Just the odds of this. One? I couldn't even tell. And I'll bet you, I know he doesn't want to do this, but I would bet, put it this way, I would not be surprised if old what's his name? If old Mr. Couldn't tell the difference between 16, 18 men, women, animal, vegetable. I mean, it's seriously in that world. It's so. Do you remember one time as an aside, there was this famous story of David Bowie and Mick Jagger. Remember that? There was a story about them. And they said, in a way, they said something like, look, mate, pal, buddy, you don't know the time. It was considered you were just boring if you didn't walk around dressed as a woman from time to time. It was nuts. It's not what you think. You have to understand the time. You have to understand this. It doesn't absolve you criminally. But there are a lot of people who say, I had no idea. We're not predators. Just wait. Just sit here and wait. You know, there's this wonderful, my favorite animal. I think it's called the anglerfish. He opens his mouth and he has this little thing on top of his head. It looks like a worm. He goes like that. He just sits there with his mouth open. Doesn't go after anybody. They come to him. And he goes like that. And he eats them. That's it. That's my idea of an animal. Not the cheetah who chases anybody. So if you had a jury afterwards who said, you know what? And I'm not saying blame the victim, but you got to ask yourself, you were 16, whatever. You're not a child. And if you can show that this person showed a kind of a, dare I say, a worldliness, you can't go into past sexual activity to anyway impute liability or impugn or impeach their integrity. But a 16-year-old babe in the woods, snatched from the streets, thrown into a white van, defiled, versus, remember in the 60s, the groupies, Sweet Sweet Connie and the Castor Plasters, those people were, many of them, most young. And I'm not countenancing this. I'm not saying it's okay, but it's a different setup. It's a different group of imagine if I said you robbery, that's terrible. And you robbed a mob poker game. Is that the same in people's minds, do you think, as going in and robbing, let's say, a church and taking the money in the collection plate? They're both robbery, but they're different. Hitting somebody who's hitting Conor McGregor or hitting a 90-year-old pensioner who weighs 80 pounds. They're both the same act, but the victims are different. They're identical. You can't remove the human experience from this. Oh, look at this. Jimmy Page and David Bowie, allegedly. But during that time, let me tell you something. I don't want to get into the stories about this, but ever been involved in a case as evidence sex addict as a defense? You know, it's funny you say that. If you talk to people, the worst defense ever is that. Can we say that? Let's say S addict. There you go. We're always going to think about this, Shaun. You and me. We got to say, can we say that? There was a case that was happening. Look it up in Florida. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE, broke up this group of I can't even, I just say it's one of the greatest stories ever. What they did, you can't read any of the charges that are in the newspapers, that are on TV. You can't say them. And you're not trying to be salacious. In any event. I don't believe in addiction. I don't believe in that. The idea like you would, for example, a heroin addict who's got to get a fix. No. There are people, however, who either because of obsessive compulsive disorders might use it as a cudgel or something or some way of an affirmation, but somebody who says, it's been 2 days, I can't take it, who said, oh, there's old Shaun, he's jonesing, like you're in the room and you're sweating and you've got a blanket around you because your addiction, that's an addiction. But there are people, however, let me ask you something. You've seen that great YouTube, maybe I shouldn't say this, but it's soft white underbelly. Do you ever see these people?
Yeah.
That is the most fascinating. And the worse that they look, the sadder and sweeter. And you can see the child in them just contaminated. So there are ranges of this. But as far as having Now to Agent Orange, here's what I would do. I would love to sit there and say, okay, this is civil. You got to take the stand. And I'm not telling you what to do there, Russell, but if you don't remember, you don't remember. After a while, when you say, I don't remember. And I'm not being, and if he can turn to the jury and say, I'm not trying to be cheeky here, folks. I can't remember. I think I hurt myself. But let's hear about your story. Let's hear about your story, Russell, when you were a child. Now, I'm not saying this happened, but let's assume he has his instance of trauma when I got to be careful here. When children have trauma of this particular sort, and they learn that they can commodify and merchandise and promote themselves as a body, as a human being, and this changes the way you think about yourself because it destroys self-worth and talent. But I always got the attention from such and such. When kids are knocked off of balance for whatever reason, Freud, even during from toilet training to being spanked to being feeling of abandon to being yelled at to being ugly or it stays with you for the rest of your life. So if I could somehow convey to the jury, not only is Mr. Brand a drug addict and bad and a debauched, whatever, but one of the reasons why he was such this uninhibited soul, so to speak, was because of the fact of his own victimization. What's the expression when you hurt others who hurt others or something? This vicious chain. If that jury at the end of it says, I've got so much doubt, I don't even know if this guy, I don't even know what happened. I'm not saying it didn't happen with this young lady, but this is not, that'll either affect the amount of any kind of an award given, even guilt or non-guilt, because I'll bet you, and I don't know if I don't know that much about Russell Brand, I really don't, but I will bet you when he grew up, what he did and others, and I don't know if this is even possible, but in my fantasy, Katy Perry, who can say, I'll tell you what I saw. It's true what he's saying. This is a sad person. Adding a little bit of that star power, but also pity. What if this guy may come across as, this Lothario and kind of a pirate character, but he's a little boy who's hurt. He's messed up. And if I can, now remember, he might say, don't do that to me. Because and again, I'm not saying this is true. I'm just imagining this. But he might very well say, I've taken years to curate this image of me. Don't destroy it. I've hidden behind this. And if I say, but this is your ticket out. This is your defense. Some people would rather say, you can't do this. You can't show me up. Even in those videos, he has to act like nothing bothers me. I'm in control. This is my movie, my scenario. I'll tell you. But I found my family and I found Jesus. Okay, so this is a big mistake. So everybody's going to go away, right? No, they're not.
So you're getting asked, Lionel, if someone does get up on the stand and just says they can't remember anything,
mm-hmm.
how do proceedings go from there?
You tell me. But the idea, it could be true. There are people who it happens all the time you would say drink driving. Somebody's passed out of the car. I don't remember getting in the car. Remember Ambien days? Remember when people would take Ambien and they would drive in the middle of the night? They wouldn't know what they were doing. They wake up in the morning. People were gaining weight. And they said, why am I gaining weight? They said, because you're eating at night. And they found themselves on cameras. They don't remember anything. Ted Kennedy's son, who was a congressman, one night at 3 a.m, shows up to the Capitol, the United States Capitol in Washington. He's like in his pajamas or underwear, and he's going. What are you doing? He said, I'm going to vote. And he had some drug problems or whatever. But it might have been this ambient, because people sleepwalk, somnambulism. Well, happens all the time. I don't remember. But I do remember how bad I was then. I do remember that it's not that I don't remember. I don't remember because I was an alcoholic who suffered brain damage, and that's different than just saying, I don't know. You want people to say he doesn't remember anything. We want to get the predator, not the oaf, not the fool. And we're saying, and this is what I want the juror to think when they go back into that jury room. That's what I want. This isn't what I thought. Remember the Bill Cosby stories? Those were not those cases. Those were, you didn't say, you say, this guy's sick. That's what you wanted. Remember the Johnny Depp case? It turned into a laughing stock. We laughed about it. That's what you want. You want to be able to, I'm trying to think of a case, even believe it or not, the Alec Baldwin case or whatever. He sort of diffused thing. So he can say, I don't remember, but it's other things as well. Listen, my feeling is irrelevant, whether I like him or not. But whether it's Diddy, whether it's this guy, there's something about a case. Now, for all we know, this woman could say, I tried to bring this to the police 50 times. That's a different story. I don't know if that's the case. I doubt it, but it could be. But why now? And she has to take a stand. Now tell me, were you contacted by Channel 4 about the Times? Yeah. What did they say? Were you paid for this? Objection. No. Were you paid for your story? What? Because you want the jury to say she was paid. I'm not saying that's true. Don't you think that's relevant? How did this come about? Well, I got this card in my door from, let's say, I'm just saying, the Channel 4. And how did they find me? That's different than I went to them seeking justice. You see how this works? It's a completely different thing. And people are just, put it this way, the people who want Russell Brand just as a scalp on the wall, they don't care about money. There are other people too who want him because they don't like him, or somebody trying to make money or what have you. All I know is that he is in a unique situation where he is being targeted right now. He is it. People will forget. People have the attention span of a gnat. Let them go to other trade sanctions, Trump's tariffs, football, whatever it is. Just let life take over. Hope it's towards the end of the week, is over a weekend. Everything's always forgotten. Just let it go away. Mr. Brand, thank you so much. But as I said, pursuant to my lawyer's advice, I can't speak. And you can understand that, of course. People will always say, of course. I'm sorry, I bought these fish and chips and I didn't like them. I ate half of them, but I want my money back. You can understand that, right? Of course. People will say, of course. No, I don't understand. You ate half of it. But if you look at it, okay. And Russell Brand just says, I hope you understand that. I mean, I'm paying for these lawyers. I have to listen to them, right? You understand that? Yeah, okay, yeah. Thank you. Goodbye. Praise the Lord. And lay off this Jesus thing. They always say, it's funny how many people they say there's no atheists in foxholes. And I guarantee you, the biggest Bible concession ever were at county jails and state prisons, especially before court dates. They used to hand out Bibles. You want to borrow mine? Yeah. Show up with the Bible. Oh, I found the Lord. Oh, yes, Your Honor. Yes, I found the Lord Jesus Christ. Praise God. In the name of Jesus. He has not forsaken me. He has not, through the redemption of the Lord of the... Okay, that's fine. Then the next one comes in. He says, but it's funny, it doesn't work for Muslims. Remember that? You got a 300-pound guy named Mustafa with a kufi on. We don't care about that. There was a woman in Texas years ago, Carla Faye Tucker. You should see her picture. She got this guy with a pickaxe. I mean, she was brutal. And all of a sudden, she found Jesus. The Pope loved her. Pat Robertson loved her. She would do these hand dances in the name of Jesus, and she had these curly hair, and they loved her. And so George Bush, who was the governor of Texas, said, because he could commute the sentence and save her life. He says, "Did you ever see that picture of that poor guy with that pickaxe in his check? She wasn't doing any hand dancing then." Now, at the same time, there was a big black guy named, but he became Mustafa Muhammad, whatever. He did Kufi. He go, they don't care about that. That finding, but the white lady go, oh, bless her heart. Whatever said, I just know that I'm going to be in a better place. Well, good, because in 12 hours, you're going to be right on time. So it's one of those things that we don't believe in. Deep down inside, the people who really have been, and lives have been affected, and I don't mean to laugh at that because people's lives have been changed by the redemption of Christ. And I've seen this, but they don't walk around, with T-shirts that saved. They're quiet about it. They don't wear a hat like veteran. I'm saved. It's a different story. So he is, whoever his handlers are, he should fire them.
Wow, thank you, my friend. That was phenomenal. And I'll give you one last question then.
And you never let me get a word in edgewise. You just please. I'm sorry.
So with Keir Starmer and Trump and Elon, kind of like Elon especially was calling out Keir Starmer because of the lack of freedom of speech. And with Russell moving to the States, do you think he's playing a strategy of whereby he could use the beef between Elon and Trump and Starmer to kind of protect himself from extradition or something?
We'll put it this way. You want him to hang around Kid Rock. You want him to show up, start volunteering. I'm serious. Start helping at drug and rehab places, work with veterans, red, white, and blue. You love this country. Try to become a citizen. Have you and your family, you're going to go on holiday to Gettysburg. You're going to be super patriot. You're going to love July 4th. You're going to go crazy. You're going to read to the blind because you have you will be coddled and cosseted and protected here if they love you. Oh, we love really get Kid Rock, somebody like that, and President Trump and just, whatever. That's the place to be here. It makes it, because if they say, well, Mr. Brand, if you were extradited, he says, well, I believe one thing. I believe in following the rule of law. And you know where I learned that? Living in the greatest country in the world that has the Bill of Rights and the best president. There are people who will keep him hidden. He will. America is the best place to do it. He's got to change and keep up. Don't ever remember, if you're going to change, we love a story, but don't let them down. There's a lot of people here, and start acting sorry. Help. I would say right away, help drug and alcohol people, because I've been there, especially, and letting it slip in, because there were years I don't even remember. And somebody helped me. And there are people also, if he really wants to push it, work with families at court, work with people, and whatever it is, just you look like this repenting, contrite, good guy, where in the UK they say, do we really want to, no, not him, Diddy, that kind of thing, because he's lucky, he's free, he's not locked up, he can move about. But Russell, if you're watching, no more videos. Never.
Thank you very much, my friend. Please support Lionel. His link and his wife's links are in the description box below the video. And we hope to see you soon. I'm going to close the show and let you go. And cheerio.
Thank you, brother.
Cheers. Nice one. Bye. What a phenomenal analysis by Lionel. Again, never lets us down, folks. Fantastic. And if you didn't see the podcast we did last night with Kelly, who was human transported to elites at age 6, this video will transport you over to that video now. And then tomorrow night, we have got possibly a woman who was transported into a tunnel by evil satanic nuns. Yes, and it's going to be another gripping podcast. So look out for that one. Tons more content coming. Back to